Hello, a new shade of blue tuning in. You know, I haven't watched most of the Marvel shows. I've seen WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and a few episodes of Miss Marvel. No shade on the others, they just didn't pull me. So when the trailer of Ironheart dropped, my own intrigue surprised me. So what's different about Ironheart? Well, the premise for starters. In the city of Chicago, a prodigy in advanced technology just wants to make an Iron Man suit, yet somehow she gets pulled into the orbit of magic criminals. For once, she doesn't understand how anything works, but she knows her only option is to build her way out. After years of globetrotting, spacefaring, dimension-hopping adventures to save the world, universe, or existence itself, there's something refreshing about a story taking place in Chicago. Plus, pinning a tech hero against a magic villain is just brilliant. However, what I was most curious about was how they portray Ironheart herself, aka Riri Williams. The character made her debut in the MCU in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but she was mostly a plot device in that movie. Having only watched the first 3 episodes of the show at this point, it doesn't look like any of the character development she did get carried over. We'll get back to that in a moment. In the comics, Riri is a misunderstood genius. She has trauma that she doesn't know how to deal with, so she builds Iron Man suits instead. I'll confess, I didn't read her solo book. What draws me to new heroes most are their powers. It defines the hero for me, and Ironheart was just another mech suit, like War Machine or Rescue. That meant her personality had to be the draw, and she didn't have much of one at first glance. Marvel had high hopes for her though, and she even appeared in a few animated series as a guest star. But she never stopped being dry to me. That's not unusual though. I'd argue that Miles Morales never reached the true potential of his character until Into the Spider-Verse came out. Thanks to that adaptation, Miles gained personal goals, artistic talent, and narrative themes that were sorely lacking in the original, in my opinion. That's the treatment I wanted for Riri. In Wakanda Forever, Riri is confrontational, reckless, proud, and sentimental. This didn't amount to much outside of another character fighting mooks in the climax, but these are the traits that carry over into the show. So let's examine the first half of Riri's story and discover what kind of hero she's meant to be. Let's talk about Ironheart, episodes 1 through 3. Spoilers ahead. We start with Riri getting expelled from MIT. It's not for shooting at the police with weapons she built in her garage with school resources. No, it's for plagiarism. No, she didn't steal anyone's work. Other students paid her to do their work. I wonder what happened to the students who hired her. When told to collect her things, she grabs her project from the lab, reasoning that she made it with her grant money, so it's her property. I guess her logic checks out because no one seems to be looking for this thing, the thing in question being a mostly functional Iron Man suit. She dramatically flies off, only to crash land in her hometown of Chicago due to a faulty AI software. After getting reacquainted with some friends and family, all Riri wants to do is perfect the suit. Unfortunately, that requires money. A lot of money. However, her flash return home drew quite a bit of attention, and she's soon approached with a job opportunity. An upstart gang of thieves needs a new tech guy for a few jobs. Luckily, Riri has already been established as morally dubious, so it doesn't take much to convince her. But she'll need a new AI to manage the suit. So that night, she decided her own brainwaves would be the best template to build a new AI around. What Riri didn't take into account was how being back home was affecting her. Memories flooded the brain scan, accidentally turning the new AI into a digital ghost of her deceased best friend Natalie. Natalie and Riri's stepdad were killed in a drive-by shooting a few years ago. Riri does her best not to think about it, but being back home has been causing her to spiral. Naturally, AI Natalie being around isn't helping with that. She has way more personality than Riri is comfortable with, and seems to have memories of the real Natalie's and Riri's time together. Riri wants to delete her and start over, but she's out of time. The thieves have targeted a high-tech transit tunnel. The goal is to extort the CEO in charge for a ton of money. Riri's job is to insert a virus into the system that will grant the thieves control of the whole thing. Natalie tried to talk Riri out of it, but when that didn't work, Natalie resolved herself to help her best friend as the suit's AI. Things go wrong, as you'd expect, but then things go right thanks to Natalie's help. The operation is a success. Riri gets her cut and feels pretty satisfied with everything despite Natalie's unease about the gang's leader, the Hood. Riri didn't believe him when he said his cape was magic, but it's putting out energy that Natalie's sensors can't make sense of. Riri brushes her off until the thieves' last tech guy shows up dead. Apparently, the Hood doesn't leave loose ends. Riri starts to panic when she realizes the Hood probably won't let her walk away, but Natalie calms her down enough to come up with a plan. They can't fight what they don't understand, so that's the first step. They need a sample of the Hood's cape to analyze. However, the next job has security that screens outside tech, so Riri can't use her suit to get the sample without springing a trap. Instead, Riri gets some equipment from a reluctant ally, Joe, to conceal some tools from the scanners. Riri promises nothing would link back to him, but she ends up setting off the alarms anyway and leaves Joe's equipment behind. The facility goes into lockdown, the gang is separated and trapped. Riri is caught red-handed by the Hood's right-hand man. Natalie bails Riri out, leaving the man to die by the facility's security system. The Hood was able to rescue the others, but he's crushed by the death of his best friend. To motivate him, whatever entity empowers the cape rats Riri out. And that's where episode 3 ends. So, what do I think of Riri? Well, I don't think I've ever seen a hero in training just straight up choose to be a criminal before. Riri is working with the same logic as Doc Ock when he's robbing a bank. I'm no petty crook! I do this for science! This is why the story isn't taking place in New York. Spider-Man would have been all over this. That said, Riri clearly isn't interested in heroics. The question of why she builds suits is asked several times throughout the story. Normally, the answer would be because I lost people to a violent crime and I want to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else. But Riri doesn't want to fight crime. She just wants to crack the code on how Tony Stark made Iron Man. Alignment-wise, I'd say she's chaotic neutral. She has a moral compass, but is flexible. To reach her goals, as long as she's not causing direct physical harm to someone, anything goes. At the start, Riri is motivated by a need for recognition. She wants to be undeniably the best in her field. In previous movies, we saw that neither the military nor private corporations could recreate Iron Man. The secret of the armor died with Tony, so it makes sense that it would be the holy grail of engineering in this world. Relationship-wise, I was surprised that Riri had other friends besides Natalie, and that her community regards her with fondness and concern. I'm used to genius characters being portrayed as pariahs among their peers, with the sole best friend or love interest as the exception, a la Sherlock and Watson. Riri is quick to make friends. Even when she doesn't want to, it's like she puts up walls, but forgets to lock the door. Due to this, it feels real when Riri starts having a panic attack over the Hood knowing where she lives and who her people are. But it also feels like Riri is selfishly putting the gang, her new friends, in jeopardy when she decides to go after the Hood during the operation. As I mentioned earlier, her development in Wakanda Forever didn't carry over. The movie isn't even referenced outside of a vague hinting in the opening scene. She shot the police, fled the country, and fought in a war between two super societies. You'd think someone would ask questions about that. On that note, what happened to that armor? It seemed to be working just fine. I guess Wakanda didn't let her keep it? Fair enough, it was Wakandan tech, I suppose. But this vagueness makes me wonder if the movie happened at all. This could be a prequel for all we know. Overall, I'm invested. I like Riri as this wild card road type. I want to see how she transitions into actual heroics. I appreciate the glimpse into how gifted people in the Marvel Universe can get involved with supercrime, but I assume this isn't an origin story for a supervillain. Regardless, I'm here for the ride. Leave a comment or click the like button if you agree or disagree with my analysis. I plan on doing the second half, but seeing the like counter go up would be motivating. With that said, ANewShadeOfBlue, tuning out.